I have a mental list of all the things that I want to do with you. And I'm like, do you have a mental, isn't it just like the normal stuff? What's on, actually, let me see it. Let me see the list. Let me see if it's like really creative. Cause like, I feel like I've seen a lot of things in my time of reading. And I doubt that you, Jesse Milquetoast Andrews, despite the fact that you were a video game creator, which is very cool, I doubt that you have any serious things on that list that I'm going to be like, wow, that, I did not expect that. I think that it's exactly what I'm expecting. Hi, my name's Rachel, and today we are talking about Two Can Play by ALI HAZELWOOD. I've tried a lot of ALI HAZELWOOD, and a lot of them fall pretty 3-star for me. I keep believing that ALI HAZELWOOD is going to write a romance that is a 5 for me. Something about her, I don't know why I think that. Maybe I'm starting to lose faith, but I really thought that I would give something she wrote a 5. The first one was really bad. The first one I tried by her was a 1-star. It actually gave me the ick so bad. I tried Bride, which was like a 3.5, I'd say. I didn't hate Deep End. I thought that was probably like a 4. Up to this point, I have avoided her explicitly Raylo book. What is it called? Love Hypothesis? Love on the Brain? One of those. I am not a Raylo fan. Anyway, we got closer with Deep End. Oh, I also didn't hate the one with the chess players, Check and Mate, but we're still not any closer to a 5. And in this case, with Two Can Play, I thought that this was going to be it because low-key, this is very me and my husband. This is about two video game creators. I don't create video games, but my husband and I both play video games. In fact, if I have the picture still, here's him in my room playing Assassin's Creed when I was literally in high school. We named one of our kids after a video game character, and one of the first things we talked about was our love of Metal Gear Solid, particularly Metal Gear Solid 3. I thought that this book was going to be the one ALI HAZELWOOD for me, and instead this was, I don't know what ALI was. It seems to me that we like had a really good idea, and then suddenly we were like, oh wait, we need to write a bunch of spicy scenes. Shove them all in at once, and then we'll figure out the end of the story later. And then we didn't actually figure out the end of the story. We were so busy being spicy, which was really disappointing for a book about video games. I would love a video game nerd romance book. The synopsis says, an enemies to lovers... No, see, I'm already going to stop. That's not really true. No. An enemies to lovers spicy romance set in the world of video gaming. Viola Bowen has the chance of a lifetime to design a video game based on her all-time favorite book series. The only problem? Her co-lead is Jesse effing Andrews, aka her arch nemesis. No, he's literally not. They've never even talked, really. I mean, they barely talk. Jesse has made it abundantly clear over the years that he wants nothing to do with her, and Viola has no idea why. When their bosses insist a wintry retreat is the perfect team-building exercise, Viola can't think of anything worse. Being freezing cold in a remote village mountain lodge, knowing Jesse is right next door? No, thank you. But as the snow piles on, Viola discovers there's more to Jesse than she knew, and heat builds in more ways than one. I'm all for it getting spicier. It's just this had such a cool idea with them having to mutually build a video game together across their two companies, and then it just kind of fell flat. But again, I'm all for characters exploring their spicy side. Everybody should be able to explore their spicy side if they want to. And you can do that with the help of today's sponsor, which is Bellesa. Bellesa is actually sending out gift cards and free toys. If you don't know, Bellesa is a by women company for all things spicy, and their mission is to empower everybody to embrace and learn about and celebrate their spicier side. No stigma here. They have a wide variety of products so that everybody can find what works for them. I personally recommend the thump. It is a vibe, but it has a thumping mechanism. It also has suction on the back. This is a toy that does it all. This is the one that I tell my friends, you should get this. You will have no regrets. This little cutie is a pebble, which has suction and vibration. They are controlled independently. She has no annoying pattern modes, and she fits so ergonomically in your hand. She's also rose gold, which is so stinking cute. And this girly pop is the Air Vibe. She is dual action, if you catch my drift. Very bendy. I have to be YouTube appropriate. So this little piece here is for bundle of nerves, go time. And this is for, let's see, what does the romance books call it? Inner walls. certain spot, if you catch my drift. Sensation. Who knew that all of the euphemisms I learned from books would actually come in handy? They come in discreet casing, they are waterproof, they are rechargeable with this little charging port right here. Don't let like the cuteness of it fool you, it really packs a punch. All their cases are like this where it's like super discreet. This one looks like a glasses container, who's gonna know? They're all made from quality silicone, and whether you're a beginner or a pro, Bellesa has a toy for everybody. You can get your gift card or your free toy by clicking the link down below. And thank you so much to Bellesa for sponsoring today's video. So our main character, Viola, works for a video game company called Flybutter. Her mom thinks that this is not a good long-term job plan, but it's been her dream. Her mom sort of makes fun of her and says like, oh, you can't make Mario Kart a job forever. Now, Flybutter is more of the roleplay aspect of gaming, but one of their sort of competitors, which is called Nephilim Studio, they put out more combat games and they did like Game of the Year. So at work one day, the CEO of Flybutter is talking to everybody and says, hey, so I have good news and bad news. The good news is that Starplay Publishing, which is like an actual book publisher, right, wants to hire Flybutter Studios to create this really big game based on books that she loved as a kid. Viola's dad passed away, but before he passed away, he got her into this book series. So Starplay Publishing wants to hire them to create a video game based on the book series that she loved. Everybody's really excited about this. Someone's flossing, which is going to absolutely date this book in the future. And the CEO, her boss, is like, all right, the catch is Starplay, the publisher, wants to do something new. The audience for this game has changed. Our strength here at Flybutter relies on the roleplay aspect. That's where we shine. But Starplay wants more combat in this particular game. So we're going to be working with our competitor, Nephilim Studios. No, not Nephilim. They're so gross, mean bullies. He's like, we know this is an unorthodox idea. Mike is the CEO, that's her boss. Mike is actually probably not upset about this at all because he is, the book's words, fuck buddies with Otto, who is the head of Nephilim Studios. So the core team of Nephilim Studios and the core team of Flybutter are all going to be stuck in a ski cabin together, paid for by the generous the generous publisher, so that they can come together and make a perfect game. And of course, Jessie Andrews, her love interest, works for Nephilim. Jessie Andrews is the most John Smith name other than John Smith. She knows Jessie because they once applied for the same job at a different company where she was treated like garbage for being a girl. I feel like this is sort of a theme in ALI HAZELWOOD books. And of course, our love interest, Jessie Andrews, stuck up for her at this interview and actually told her, hey, you should apply at Flybutter. And then he went on for Nephilim, and then the evil misogynist company went out of business eventually. Hooray! Everybody clap! Jessie is the head designer at Nephilim and is an action adventurer superstar, according to the book. Like, that's the literal words that are used. But her and Jessie, well, the synopsis said they were enemies to lovers, but I would not call that true. Like, they've never been enemies. It's just he acts weird around her. So they saw each other at a conference once after the interview where they initially met, and he's so nice to the old people where at the conference he's like, oh, let me like help you with your seat, that kind of stuff for these old people. But then he's like really standoffish towards our main character, Viola, and she developed, and I quote, a tiny nanoscopic itty bitty crush on him. 3 years into this, she starts, after seeing him at events, having spicy dreams about him. But she's into him and he won't even make eye contact with her. Right. So it was at this point I knew that we were going to do the typical ALI HAZELWOOD thing. I don't think ALI HAZELWOOD would ever write a book at this point, having read several things by her. I think I've read like 4 or 5 things by her now. I don't think she'll ever write a book where miscommunication is not used, but this particular time has really pissed me off because it says later in the book that the main character regrets the miscommunication between them. And I'm like, me too! They have a mutual connection in their real life, like something. He has a friend who's a teacher or a cousin or something that also is getting married to somebody she knows. Anyway, they all end up at a wedding where her family is there and he's there. She's walking around, and of course, as is typical with an Ali Hazelwood book, she bumps into what she assumes is a large wall and just turns out to be the love interest. The love interest in an Ali Hazelwood book is always a wall, and it's literally just a guy, because if something is going to get described as a large object that the main character bumps into, it's the love interest in an Ali Hazelwood book, specifically the man. Unfortunately, when they bumped into each other, though, they are standing, this apparently is happening around Christmas time, this wedding, and they bumped into each other and they're standing directly under mistletoe. And so everybody is like, kiss, 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 kiss. And he is standing there and she's like, oh no, now we have to kiss, right? So she looks at him, she's like, oh, well, let's get this over with. And he's looking at her with what she interprets to be disgust, because of course, this is an Ali Hazelwood book and it doesn't work unless the love interest appears disgusted by the main character. And he says, no, I don't think so. And walks away. So then after this, she hears him in this, this wedding off in a room with one of her cousins, or no, one of his cousins, sorry, who says, hey man, if you don't like her, you it's fine, but you could have been nice about it. And of course, Jesse doesn't not say it's not that I don't like her. He says, no, I couldn't have been. As in, I couldn't have been nice to her. And it's just see, this is my problem with miscommunication, is that it often just doesn't make sense. And you have to really suspend your disbelief to accept that this is just a miscommunication. I can't suspend my disbelief like that. So then so he doesn't discount the idea that he does not like her in this moment for some reason that we know is going to get explained later. And I understand that part of the appeal for other people for romance books is this formula that they know is going to happen. It feels very good, very safe, and they like the formula. It's sort of like eating the same thing over and over again. I know what I'm getting into when I open a chocolate chip cookie, but I do like a book to surprise me, even a romance book, and so miscommunication is just not for me. So I don't know why I keep thinking that Ali Hazelwood's books eventually are going to produce a 5-star book for me, but something in my brain just says that is true. Again, we did get closer with Deep End. Do you like my new cup? It's Sleep Token. I had an influx of new people here and they were like, Sleep Token in the background. I'm like, oh, you just got here, huh? So in present day, they are going to this retreat, and it says, my expectations for this retreat are lower than a public school's budget. And you know what? That's a fucking funny joke. As someone who advocates for public schools, here's me yelling at my kid's school board, that joke appeals to me very specifically. Point in this book's favor for sure. So once they get to wherever the fuck they're going, they're not quite at the retreat yet. They have to, of course, drive up the mountain in the snow to the retreat. And she's like, oh, I need a ride. And her CEO, Mike, is like, oh, go off in that car. She's like, whose car is that? Is that Otto's? He's like, oh, I don't know. And of course, it ends up being Jesse frickin' Andrews. So she ends up in a car with Otto, the Nephilim boss, Jesse, and a girl named Ashley, who's this goth girl. So this car ride is super, super awkward, where Viola's like, oh, I really like this song, and Jesse turns it off. So these things don't really make sense to me because they're not really explained. So they get to the retreat and everybody's already being a dick to each other because these are two opposing companies that do not like each other. I really like this idea. It's just some of the back and forth between the two companies was kind of childish. Everybody's really annoyed to have to work with each other, if that makes sense. So people are chucking suitcases outside into a thicket, sliding notes that say loser under each other's doors, which just reminds me of being at summer camp at 13, Christian summer camp. So, we really were not supposed to be doing that. Basically just acting like a bunch of middle schoolers instead of grown adults who work for businesses. But you know what? Then again, I have been at work dinners with Carlos's coworkers over the years, and I actually could see some of them doing this. If any of you are watching this and you're wondering, is she talking about me? Anyways, she has a work husband who calls her his work wife. They're just friends. His name is Ethan. Ethan is really into this other girl at work. So she switches rooms with Ethan so that he can be closer to his actual crush. But of course, her switching rooms, just like with the car situation, ends up with her being in a room right next to whom? Her boss! Just kidding. It's Jesse, the love interest. Who, of course, seems really annoyed, but then tells her, I'll try to stay out of your way. And I'm like, okay, this is clue number one that our main character is not picking up on. And that's another issue I have with the miscommunication trope, is that often it renders our main character, who is supposed to be smart, as somebody who doesn't think, that was a weird sentence. Why would he say that very specifically? And every time I talk about this, people are like, well, I wouldn't have picked up on that. And I guess, but I don't know, like it's never written into a book in a way that I feel is authentic. But I guess you guys are telling me that that's super subjective. So take that with a grain of salt. She's trying to make an active effort to get them to warm up to each other, although some of them are just not gonna get along because like some of the people at Nephilim were engaged to some of the people at Fly Butter, and now they hate each other. Like, some of these people genuinely are never going to get along. And then there's like awkwardness because Mike and Otto, the two like CEOs of the two different companies, are into each other and sometimes fool around, but neither of them, like, I guess wants to be the one that says like, let's fully commit to this, and is wondering if the other is interested, and both are trying to like play it off and play it cool. I would 100% read a book about those two. Hopefully it wouldn't be like miscommunication though. I like pride as a reason why they don't get together, because that makes sense to me more than miscommunication. One of the guys who works for Nephilim, she overhears him saying, hey, all we have to do is like sabotage this weekend, and then we'll be able to have the contract all to ourselves, and then we don't have to work with Fly Butter. And one of the people at Nephilim says like, oh, did Jesse agree to this? And the guy doesn't say yes or no. He just sort of like says this weird sentence that could be taken as yes or no. And again, like it requires you to really suspend your disbelief. I'm like, well, why would Jesse want that? So she hears this and she's like, oh, so Jesse wants this to be sabotaged. So she walks into a different room where she had found like a perfect reading nook, and of course, who's sitting in her reading nook? It's Jesse. And he's like, what's wrong? And she says, are you trying to sabotage this weekend? Because your paleo over here says that that's true. And so Jesse like tries to take off. And of course they have this moment where she grabs his arm and he looks down like she's burning his wrist. And then he like, fucks off to go talk to that guy. And then they have to have like a meeting the next day where it gets explained like, hey, nobody sabotaged this weekend because the publisher very specifically stated that it's both or none. They want both of us working on this or it doesn't work. They also have a meeting where we get more information about the book that is getting adapted into the video game. And this was so interesting. I was eating this part up, which was unfortunate because later on it sort of dropped off the face of the book. And I was sad about this because I was genuinely interested in the book's premise. I love a book within a book, but then I just end up wanting to read the book within the book. So it's about this human and this, what is he? Some sort of fantasy creature, but they're like destined to be together, but they have to like repeat life cycles, which is something that I am super deeply into. I think we all saw me like gush over The Everlasting by Alex E. Harrow, who I get to meet this month, by the way. I'm so excited. The problem is that like the guy keeps remembering, but the girl keeps forgetting, and then, it's like they're like doomed to repeat cycles. I ate that shit up. And Jesse is also a fan, and he and her agree that when the companies, like the CEOs, like are like, all right, let's make this small change, her and Jesse are adamant, like, absolutely not. And this brings them a little closer. It, gives them something in common. I really liked that. It also, I really like when main characters are really into video games. Like, I'm a big fan of Slay by Brittany Morris. I just love video game nerds, so them like nerding out in a book over the video game and over like adapting a book to a video game specifically was super interesting. I would love to have expanded on this. This is a pretty short book, and I think I would have bumped it up higher than a 3 if we had had more of that video game stuff. But it's just sort of set dressing, which was kind of disappointing. This bonds them a little bit, and then we finally get to the point where her and him talk about the situation, the dynamic between them. And she's insinuates like, you don't like me. And he says to her, you have no idea what I feel for you. And I feel like this is a thing in every single Ali Hazelwood book. And at this point, I'm just getting a little sick of it. You know, when you eat potato chips, you open like a family size bag of Ruffles and you eat one, you're like, God, that's the best thing I ever tasted. And then by like 15 of them, you're like, I'm so sick of salt, I could die. That's kind of how this is. So he explains to her that, he like says that he has a crush on her. And then he says like, oh, so you don't recall what happened after you had left that job interview that we were both at? She says, I said I was going to go get coffee. He's like, I asked you, did you want to go get coffee together? And then you said something to the effect of no, but then you were saying something like you were frustrated with like a man who said something weird to you and you were trying to like blow him off, basically. She's like, oh, I wasn't talking about you. And that was it. That was the miscommunication between them. He thought that she was talking, like he thought that she was made uncomfortable by him. And he's been trying to avoid her ever since. And that came off as him treating her like shit instead of just like being like, oh, she's not into me. I must have made her uncomfortable. I'm going to, keep my distance, but be cordial. Okay. And he's like so into her that he's mad. I don't know. It was just stupid. This is why miscommunication doesn't work for me. So they get into the hot tub together and she's still questioning if he's into her while she's in his lap. And I'm like, bitch, see, we always go a step too far with you wondering whether or not the guy is into you. It's always just a little bit too far to the point where I'm like, come on, you're supposed to be smart. He has a rager. Of course he's into you. They get interrupted by her boss, Mike. And Mike's like, you guys heading to bed? And Jesse's like, yes, good night, bye. And she's like, what the hell? Like, he had a rager? Oh, so you did notice. Well, he had let her borrow some gloves earlier, and she's like pacing back and forth in her room like, all right, I really wanted like to go further. Like he had, he was pitching a tent. And this could have gone further. He could have invited me back to his room. What the hell? Why didn't he? So at 3:00 in the morning, she knocks on his door and is like, hey, here's your gloves back. Thanks for letting me borrow them. Also, we want to hang out. He also explains to her that like he was just so, I guess he was like so sad. And that's why he said that to her cousin at the wedding. And I don't know. Again, it just felt so cheap. It felt like a cheap enemies to lovers situation where they're not really enemies. It's just that he was sad and mad and didn't know how to properly communicate that. And she misheard something. Miscommunication frustrates the ever-loving shit out of me. So now that they have had the conversation about how they miscommunicated, there's nothing stopping them from being together. And he's like, wait, before we get into this. And by this, I mean, the other women I was casual with, because they like talk about like, oh, are you like casual? He's like, I was casual with other women, not with you. I don't just like you. I have thought of you for every day, for years. I have a mental list of all the things that I want to do with you. And I'm like, do you have a mental? Isn't it just like the normal stuff? What's on? Actually, let me see it. Let me see the list. Let me see if it's like really creative. Cause like, I feel like I've seen a lot of things in my time of reading. And I doubt that you, Jesse Milquetoast Andrews, despite the fact that you were a video game creator, which very cool. I doubt that you have any serious things on that list that I'm going to be like, wow, that I did not expect that. I think that it's exactly what I'm expecting. Let's not act like we're somebody that we're not. Yeah. He's like, this has the capacity to rip me apart. And we have to work together on this project for years. I am not the guy for no strings attached. Whoopee. I have to be careful about what I say because the YouTube overlords. So they make out with clothes on for 3 hours. I'm not joking. 3 hours. They're smooching. Oh, I wasn't talking to you, you cute little bitch, but that's really cute that you're over there and heard me doing kisses and was like, hello, she stretched. And then for some reason, they like do this at night, but then things like shift in the morning. And he has a rager and he's like, I just need a minute. I feel like that's the wrong voice for Jesse Andrews. And picturing him very much as like Milo from Atlantis, which like, girl, go off, but that voice just doesn't work for him. He's like, I just need a minute. And she's like, I think what you need is to get off. Girl, please. So she gives him this job and considers using 2 hands while asking him repeatedly, tell me what you want, even after he's already said he's about to arrive. Girl, why are you still asking? She's like, is this what you like? And he's like, I'm about to. And she's like, tell me what you like. Girl, we're already there. You already succeeded. Asked and answered, ma'am. You can tell me, she repeats while he's finishing. Girl, what? Read the room of his pants. It's clearly already working. Anyway, after he arrives, she and him talk about who they've dated previously before going straight back into another spicy scene where she says the line, I think he might have a thing for my tits. Apparently he's just as good at sucking as he is making video games, which he's actually very good at, by the way. You wouldn't know it because we barely talk about it. Somehow she tastes like strawberries. He says, what can I do? She says, what do you want to do? You have no idea the things I've been thinking about. Okay, buddy, again, I am so sure, I am so 100% positive that it's the normal stuff you're going to ask for. You're not going to be asking her to a knife or a video game controller. So, and it's just the normal stuff. He goes down on her. The word folds is used. I will say though that she kneels on his face, which is a point in the book's favor. He's so good at this, she says 1,000,000 times. Bruh, we know. I got it. Thank you for the repetition. Can we go back to some video game stuff? I'm begging. They 70-1, if you catch my drift, and they arrive at the same time. Yay! Everybody clap! They shower and make out, and I thought that we were finally going to get back into video game stuff. No, we did not. She says that they kiss endlessly, and of course, I, being who I am only ever thinking about Sleep Token. So they're, fooling about in the shower until Book's words mixes with shower suds. Perfect. His mouth is described as unbearably skilled. Again, we know he's skilled. He has skills. He has lots of them. What does he have? Skills. What is he? Skilled. We get it. Thank you. And she's like, this is not at all how I thought this retreat was gonna go. And I'm like, you know what? Me neither. I thought we'd do a little bit more video gaming, to be honest with you. They do talk about some video game stuff. Like at one point, he was actually drunk before they decided to have the conversation about them, being interested in each other and, them not actually being enemies whatsoever, despite Goodreads lying to us. And what happened was that they were playing, I believe, Red Dead Redemption, and a bunch of them got drunk when a certain character says the same line over and over. I don't know. I've never played Red Dead Redemption. I'm more of a Metal Gear Assassin's Creed kind of gal. And also Zelda. Big fan of Zelda. Getting the Master Sword right there at some point. Just like nerd tattoos all over my forearms is the plan. Okay, including but not limited to video games. The fox is not for Metal Gear, I fear, but it's cute that it would work. Where was I? Shit. Oh right. So he got drunk and she had to take him up to his room, and this is when he had let slip that he thought she was so beautiful, and then they had talked about it the next day. And so that was like the last time we really talked about video games was like Red Dead Redemption. And they do at some point talk about other video games. What was it? BioShock maybe, which I've watched Carlos play BioShock and Fallout. I have not played them myself, but those are cool games. Again, I would have loved some more video game stuff in this. I really love Slay by Brittany Morris, which is not a romance, but I love all of the video game nerd culture in this. So I would have loved to see some here in Two Can Play. We don't get a ton of video game talk. We do get this one moment that I thought was quite cute where he says, he asks her to braid her hair, not his hair. That would be cute though. He asks her, hey, can you braid your hair the way that you braided it at this one convention years ago? And she's like, you can't possibly remember how I had my hair. And he says, yes, I do. You were wearing this one particular dress. I really love it. He's been cataloging information, hoarding them like small treasures, it says. And I thought that this was adorable. So I guess like point in this book's favor again. There's then some like nerd references where we're like shitting on the bad Indiana Jones and Transformers movies. They're like, haha, let's talk about movies we like. It was mostly just like the author's opinions coming through. I mean, I agree though, Crystal Skull is like a genuinely terrible Indiana Jones movie, but I don't know. I think we could have just done more video game stuff. And she does ask him like, how did you get into the books that we're adapting into a video game? And he says, oh, well, you know, my friend actually told me that they could help me because I was actually feeling quite sad about you and I. And so a friend of mine recommended them to me. And so I started reading them and I fell in love with them. She explains, well, I grew up reading them and then my dad would like give me more and more of them as I got older. And then it wasn't until he was dying that we read the last one together when I was an adult, which I thought was sweet. Again, I think all that stuff is really great. It's just the spicy stuff in here. I feel like we could have done it. I don't know. It could have been better. It really threw off the book for me. And so then they have this conversation where she's like, we shouldn't have, you know, P and V fooling around time until we get back home. And they're like, yes, agreed. And immediately go back on this. Like within a sentence, they're like, never mind. He f***s her until she's pink and raw, Book's words. And then he pushes into the hilt, Book's words. At first, she's physically uncomfortable, which honestly, it's a breath of fresh air to see us have a conversation about like uncomfortable positions and like switching the positions for you where until we like find something that's comfortable. So point in the book's favor because she's like, they're communicating on what to do and she's like, let me be on top. And then it says that he is looking at her shiny folds. So point retracted. And at this point, I'm just so disappointed that we got like nonstop back-to-back spicy scenes that aren't good and no more video game talk because again, like the dynamic of their two companies working together and her being more of the role play side and him being more of the action side, the, you know, the combat side, it is so interesting. And I would have loved to see them like bounce ideas off each other, both as fans of this video game. But instead we're getting lines like, he's so deep, I can practically taste him in my mouth. Oh, okay. She says, you like it like this. And I've talked about before, I have a whole video on what works and doesn't work in spicy scenes. And the do you like that is a line that I don't like. I do like it in the Sleep Token song because that's not actually about spice. After they finish, it says there's a mixture of sweat and tears. And she says she never wants to clean up. Ew. We get just again and again, back to back to back spicy scenes. There's one after another. There's one after this where he says, hold tight. I'm gonna fuck you properly this time. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm surprised he didn't call her Spider Monkey. The star rating just kept dropping at this point. And she says, after, you know, all these spicy scenes, I cannot help regretting the misunderstanding of it all. And I'm like, oh, brother, come on. It's like the whole thing hinged on that. I also regret it. Don't. You know what? Don't piss me off. In the end, they all are working together better and her and him decide that they are going to make a version of the ending of the game where the two characters who are fated to like, you know, forget and find each other over again, where they will have a happily ever after, which I thought was quite sweet. But again, I just really was hoping for more from this, especially because like a guy and a gal being video game nerds is like a thing that I just absolutely love. And I really was hoping for more of that from this. So I'm going to give this a 3.25, I guess. I liked it, but I could have liked it so much more. I feel like if Ali Hazelwood would just like leave her box that she has written herself into and free herself from the shackles of the miscommunication trope, we might be able to really do something that is a 5 from me. Let me know if you have any books that are video game related that you would recommend. I love video games and fiction. Leave them down below. And if you made it this far, leave like a video game controller related emoji down below. I think there's like an actual controller emoji, right? Leave one of those down below. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you feel like it. You don't have to. I just appreciate it. And I feel the need to say it because I'm a YouTuber and we all say the same things. Anyway, okay. I don't know. It's my first video after taking a filming break for a few weeks. And I'm like, how do I even do this shit? I don't remember. Okay. Thanks for watching. Comments and questions, if you have them, go down below. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi. Before I go, I have to say thank you for being a friend to my Therapy Bills patrons. And those are Alexander, Ashley H, Beck, Call Me Kodiak, Choco's Homesick for Taiwan, DJ Rocktopus, Ellie, Emerald Dodge, Eric D, Jade, Jill, John E, Jory, Julie, Kai Brecker has not read Six of Crows, Kalane OK, Katya, Quinn, Lady Kittybug, Lady Chips Loves Pride, Lemon Jelly, Lex, Other Lex, Lily, Maddie Miss, Megwin Rose, Melissa, Mixer Boneless, Not So Secretly a Skeleton, Peggy Lou Who, Piloting SRN, Rain, Ree, SJ, Samar, Scarlett, Steph B, 3 Raccoons in a Trench Coat, Urchin Audrey, and White Raven 13. Thank you all so much for being here and for being a friend. Huge thank you to my Potato Starch Marxist patrons, Aaron, Alejandra, Alicia, Bobisha, Banana, Fofana, Fofisha. What are we doing, Alicia? Althea, Amanda D, Andy, Angelica, Artie the Ninth, Ava, Barry, Baywing, Beck, Blue Moon Syrup, Bookish by Jenna, Bookish Rabbit, Bridget 108, Kate B, Caitlin, Carlin, Carly, Casper, Kate, Kathy, Celeste, Che, Cole, Colleen, Corwin, Cosmic Frog, Courtney, Darius, Danielle, Danita, Darren, Desiree Michelle, Dilf Enthusiast, Dorothea Supports Public Education, Draco-chan, Drive-By Thinker, Ebby, Emma, Aaron with 2 E's, Erica May, Aaron Starlight, Fox Waifu, Francis, Gadarn, Hannah C, Helen P, Hurry Singh, JM Tennant, Jackalope Max, Jay is on Olympus, Jelly V, Jen Michelle, Genderqueer, Jenny G, Jesse Ives, Jessa Sue, Jojo Bookish, Juicy Wizard, Caitlin M, Katie L, Katrina, Kayla, Kaylee, Kayala, Kendra, Kiara, KMTV, Kayana, Laughing Cat Dog, Laura is Angry, Lauren G, Lazarus Ray, Lindsay M, LP, Lou Siri, Lustful Octopus, Martin, Mataraptor, Madison, Man-Eating Plant, Megan, Malara, Mima Who, Morgan the Friendly Ghost, Myth Lesbian, NM Rap, Natural Blues, Nicole G, Paige P, Penelope, Penny Chilling, Foxglove, Pick a God and Pray, Plague Carrier, Pandemonium, Queen Cereal, Rach, Rachel B, Rebecca, Rebecca R, Ren Flynn, Rhea, Reese, Ronnie, Rosie, Sikoria, Saintbringer, Sakya Lume, Sarah H, Sarah the Bear, Shamed, Shannon, Sheen Onion, Sean, Sophie, Talia, That One Cute Chick, This Is Not a Trap, Too Thick to Work Tomorrow, Triple M, Tito Phoenix, and Unicorn Jenny. Thank you all so much for being a friend.